Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to talk about the 3 most important things that will keep you injury free as your running progresses. I'm just really getting into the marathon phase and building for doing longer runs and longer weeks, longer or heavier training periods week to week. It got me thinking during the week about the 3 most important things that I've noticed over the last 20 years of running that will keep you injury free, healthy and make you progress the best as you go through your running. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you maximize that sleep. If you're not getting 7.5 to 8 hours sleep a night, you're going to be leaving behind a huge amount of recovery. I tell my patients all the time in clinic that recovery is not something that you do to your body, it's something that takes place in your body. And the best way for it to take place is getting some sleep. If you have the ability or the capacity to have little power naps during the day, and that is absolutely fantastic. Like a half an hour power nap after a run will be optimal or ideal for everybody, but unfortunately we don't all have that time. And if you don't have that time, then you really need to be thinking about getting to bed at appropriate times that you can get at least 7.5, if you can, 8 hours sleep a night. I know from my own past experiences that periods of my running where I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling really achy and tired and my little pains in my knees or calves or plantar fascia or whatever, a little bit of low back pain, it's usually on those nights where I'm kind of staying up a little bit too late and then having to wake up early in the morning and realizing that I didn't get enough sleep. And I think when you address that and remedy that, I find that the little aches, niggles and pains kind of seem to subside and don't become any kind of major issue if you can get on top of that. It is difficult, and I know some people out there say, well, all I ever sleep is about 6 or 6.5 hours a night. I was one of those people, but once I kind of started to train my body to try and get into bed by, for me it's like about 11:30 p.m. I'm always awake by around about 7 or 7:30, depends what's happening in the house, with my wife getting up to exercise or the kids being up. So yeah, 7.5 hours seems to be golden for me, but if I can get 8, I really notice the even bigger kind of increase in power and ability to do my exercise if I've had the 8 hours sleep. The second most important thing after you get those 8 hours, 7.5, 8 hours sleep will be kind of just to address both your load and your intensity. So your load wants to be increased week on week. And if you're kind of a seasoned marathon running and you do quite a lot of running, or you have done quite a lot of running in your past, you can bring your load up maybe by 20%. If you've got kind of a low week where at the moment you might be running 30 or 40k, you could bring it up to 50 or 60k within a week or two. I don't think that will be any problem for anybody who's done some sort of long-term running and has been running for a long time. Their soft tissues, their connective tissues are used to that sort of load. But if you're somebody who's kind of just new to running and haven't had that kind of years of progressive overload and training, going through marathon cycles and half marathon cycles over and over again, then it's probably better just to err on the side of caution, just build slowly. People talk about adding about 10%, but it depends on what your volume is. If you're doing 10k a week, adding 10% is just going from 10 to 11, and I think most people would be able to go from 10 till 12 in a week without really noticing. Or that will go up to 20, even 30k, going from 30 to 33 wouldn't be a massive jump. But if you're up around 60k, going from 60 to 66 is probably about appropriate adding during the week. So it's all kind of relative, there's no fine rule, but what you want to do is just make sure that you have the capacity to, whatever you're adding on this week, you have the capacity to do it then the following week and the week after that and the week after that again. If you don't have the capacity to keep doing the volume week on week on week, then there's probably not a huge amount in adding it in one week, because it just makes your kind of Strava weekly looks like a sawtooth. You want it to look as kind of as flat and as neutral as you can. So that's a good rule for anybody, is that there's no point in building some really heavy weeks in the middle of a training block if you can't keep doing it week on week, because consistency is the most important thing. So again, with the as you're building volume, just try and think about the weeks that are coming and not just the week that you're in. It's probably the salient point of that. And it goes for the same with the intensity. You could bring your intensity up a little bit, but I would really err on the side of caution. Even 10% of the intensity might be a little bit too much for some athletes. I know for me, as I add intensity, I've got to just do it in really small microdoses. If I go too much intensity, jump from one week to the next, and then trying to hold that for the week after that and the week after that again, I start to get little kind of aches and pains and little bits of my body that are kind of saying, you know, we need to back off here. So that's when you want to throw in kind of a down week or a maintenance week and just take away all the intensity completely. But again, you'll know by going through it how your body responds. Some people respond better to volume, some people respond better to intensity. So there's no kind of hard and fast rule about what you want to do. But for me, the one you want to really keep your eye on is how much intensity you're building week on week. It's probably the one that's going to bring you closer to injury than the volume if you're doing your volume at a really low intensity. And then the third point that I would add is that just dialing in your nutrition is going to be the next one that will kind of, if we have the sleep number one, managing the volume and intensity number two, then getting the nutrition in number three. I find particularly after a long run or a hard workout or an interval run, trying to get those calories replaced, whatever calories you use, trying to get them replaced as quick as you can within at least half an hour of your running. That will just do you the world of good, because it just means that your body isn't scavenging and trying to pull calories from other parts of the body, because you don't want to be doing that and drawing vitamins and minerals from anywhere. So getting those calories in, yes, the better the calories there are the better. If you can use some sort of whole food, even plant-based, I would go along with that. I'm not a plant-based athlete. I kind of did that for a couple of years and found it really beneficial, but I find with life just kind of gets in the way sometimes. But yeah, trying to get as good calories in as you can, particularly just making sure that you get the appropriate amount of carbohydrates, fats and protein. It depends again what phase of your cycle you're at. If you're just doing lots of volume and kind of at the very early beginning, I would say just concentrate mainly on the carbohydrates and get the small amounts of fats and proteins. But as your volume goes up, as your intensity goes up, and if you're doing some strength and conditioning again, then you really need to dial in that protein. For me, the easiest way to do that is just get some protein shakes, and to cover the kind of vitamins, minerals, and just make sure that I have all my kind of nutrient balance, I just go for the green smoothies. Just throw a load of stuff in, and if you're a weekend warrior like most of us are, you're probably going to hit all bases by having just a nice big green smoothie. Yeah, throw in whatever you have. I throw in some seeds, some frozen fruit, usually banana, a bit of spinach and some juice, and just blend it all up. But yeah, I think if you get the nutrition dialed in as well as the other two, if you get those three things, you're going to be well on the way to just kind of keeping yourself injury free, maximize your ability to get fitter, and definitely see yourself getting faster. Hope all this stuff helps. Any questions, put them below. Remember guys, run far, run fast, most of all, run sensible.